Hey fantasy fans, welcome back. It's Dan here with Treebeard Book Reviews, and this is just going to be an update on the live stream that Brandon Sanderson had on March 8th. Just some updates about Book 1, Tress of the Emerald Seas. So let's get into it. Alright guys, welcome back. So I just watched the live stream for Brandon Sanderson for Tress of the Emerald Sea. I took some notes about some of the things that are going to be like kind of spoilers like that is going to be happening in this book. So I'm going to be talking about those and some updates for the Kickstarter. So one thing I will say, I asked a question in the live stream asking Brandon if he liked and Isaac cake or pie. And the dang question just blew up, and they were just talking about cake and pie and like the whole time. So, I'm not sorry. Hashtag sorry, not sorry. So, pretty cool that I got a shout out from Brandon, or that they answered my question. So, I'm gonna go break down some of the stuff that we learned in this in this stream. So, if you guys are interested in that, stick around. And this is kind of like a fantasy news, but it's more just a Brandon Sanderson news. So. Let's get into that. Let's start breaking these down. First thing we learned is that the planet that Tress of the Emerald Seas is set on is called Lumar. So that's all we really know. He didn't say too much. We do not know the shard that is going to be on this planet. So he rafoed that, which makes sense. So we also learned about Hoyd in this book. He's telling this story years and maybe a decade or two after the events of the story. It's not going to be centuries. So that's another good thing. And he said, you might be able to figure out where Hoyd is telling the story, like what planet he's on and such like that. So kind of cool, some revelations there. The next biggest thing he talked about was the Aethers. The Aethers are the magic system that's going to be in the book. So we learned that this is not the Aether planet, but an offshoot, an evolutionary offshoot of the Aethers. The Aethers, he explained, were like a sentient type of magic, kind of similar to Spren, where there's a one type of Aether, and it can be bound by multiple humans or humanoids, and then they can channel that type of Aether. So that sounds really cool. That's like a really cool magic system Brandon has developed. I don't really know too much about the Aethers because he wrote like that Aether of Night was the book that he hasn't published. So really cool with this Aether. So like an example he gave was like there's a vine Aether, and if you can channel it, you channel Aethers through your hand, and so then they can just like channel like like Aether vines and stuff like that. So sounds really cool. I'm excited for it. So like this is an evolutionary offshoot, so there's going to be something to do with the spores, which are probably like the type of Aether. And there was some stuff alluded to, like there's 12 moons on Lumar. There's 12 different spores, so potentially 12 different Aethers on this planet. So that's sweet. Gonna be really cool how he sees it, how he interprets it. And then we have the two main characters to talk about, like Tress and Charlie. Tress based after his wife Emily, and then Charlie, like the storyteller, based off of Brandon. So this sounds like it's gonna be a great story. Like it's a Princess Bride retelling, where the Princess Bride actually does gets more involved in the story. So alright, what are some of the other things we learned? Oh, so Aethers too are pre-shattering. So they existed before the shattering of Adenalcium. So they're a more ancient magic system. So that's kind of cool. That's something we didn't know. So alright, so continuing on, let me see, I got my notes here, guys. There is no mention of the cognitive realm in this book. What's the last thing here? There's likely going to be an Ars Arcanum for each of these books that he's going to be writing, or an Ars Arcanum story that's going to come out. So that was really cool. One of the big things he said too, that book 4 of these secret novels is going to have the biggest Cosmere connections. So if you're into the big Cosmere connections, this is the like book 4 is going to be the book for you. This one's a bit more of like a whimsical kind of tale. Yeah, so that's really like all the big like updates he gave about like spoilers for Tress of the Emerald Sea. So there's like them riding on these spores as like like a fluidity kind of thing, where like solids become like fluid, and or he talked about it like in the stream where you know, how like they can like fluidation or something like that. So it's gonna be interesting. I think it's gonna be a really cool story. I'm really excited for it. The cover art looks great. I'll probably put up a piece of cover art here. And oh, one thing he did talk about too in the live stream is, you know, since they've raised so much, you know, they're at like 26 million in the stream when he was talking about it, US dollars, that they're going to be doing like a two-tone color palette for the book. So meaning like, you know, if there's a map, instead of the map being grayscale, like for Tress, it'll most likely have like gray and green. So it'll be like really kind of cool that he can, and like the chapter headings will be green. So they're going to be they're going for quality, guys. Like he's just going to be spending that extra money he's earned to make the stuff better for the backers. So, you know, if you haven't backed the Kickstarter or you're waiting now, like just, you know what, this is, you know, this should be confirmation that you should, you know, commit to it, because he's, you know, Brandon Sanderson is committed to quality. So that's really all the stuff about the Tress of the Emerald Sea. So let's kind of talk about now some of the Kickstarter updates that that they gave us in this stream. The first thing they talked about that Brandon is one of the swag pieces that Brandon wanted was a writing notepad or a writing notebook. And this is really cool. So it's going to be a high quality, you know, notebook. It's going to have probably the Cosmere logo on it, but it's also going to, you know, include little writing notes from Brandon on stories he hasn't written. So, oh, that sounds so cool. The thing is, though, I think the one thing he's not thinking about is that people aren't going to use it. Like, I know we're not going to use it. Like, we're just going to keep it and, like, you know, flip through all these notes and stories that he hasn't told. So that's the only thing is I'd hate to mark it up, because it's just going to be such a cool keepsake. So there's that. Oh, other things. So some of the type of merch you're going to be getting in these swag boxes are clothing, like shirts. I hope they do sweatpants. Sweatpants would be cool, but it's probably going to be shirts and stuff like that. Some, like, you know, toys and stuff like that, or like plushies. And then the last thing was like more practical use stuff. So like kind of like the notepad. So maybe like there's going to be a bookmark for sure. There's going to be like an epic bookmark. So I hope they do like a better quality than the other like epic bookmarks, because, you know, they just start to fray a little bit at the edges. He did speak about like the quality over the quantity. So since they've got more money, they're going to be putting that money into making just the swag and like the items you're going to get in the box the best that they can be, which is super appreciated, super amazing. Because like that's the thing, you get a bunch of like that's why I'm not a big fan of like loot crate or loot boxes, because like it's just tack. It's just like cheap crap with like logos thrown on it. And Brandon's not all about that. He's all about quality, which is evidence with, like, you know, the leather bounds and like stuff like that. So quality, 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 which is great. And the thing we learned too, that there's not going to be the same swag that you're going to get from the other the other boxes, you know, like from the Way of Kings Kickstarters. There's going to be, it's all original swag. So that's really cool. Super excited for that too. One of the last things they touched on is international shipping. You know, they're really just talking about explaining like why it's so expensive, and a lot of it's due to COVID and you know, the pandemic, where it's just made shipping harder with like customs, taxes, licenses. So there's not too much they can do, but they're going to be trying to do something for the Words of Radiance Kickstarter next year. So they're going to try their best to make it a little bit easier for you as a consumer. And the last thing that they talked about is the you know, when the Kickstarter's over and everything's been fulfilled, if people wanted to buy like some of the loot boxes or some of the books, they're going to try and sell them off on their website, but it's going to be like a first come first served basis, and they can't guarantee that they're going to be around for a long time. So that was the biggest thing too. They did talk a little bit about getting the books in bookstores, but they aren't really sure how that's going to happen, what the rollout like that is, that they're going to look like. One of the things that I thought was the most interesting that Brandon talked about, and I'm like, why don't publishers do this, is when you buy the hardcover, they also give you the ebook at the same time, which would drive up hardcover sales. I mean, hardcover sales are already higher than ebook, but you know, I like my hardcovers and I read my hardcovers, but if I had the option to have like both, to get the hardcover and the ebook, you know, we live in a world where you can have both. Like, why not just give us both? And it would make me buy that hardcover with the ebook included, because, you know, like I'm reading Kingdoms of Death right now. Like, you know, when I'm in my bed and the lights are off, I'll read my ebook copy. When I'm, you know, downstairs like hanging out, I'm going to read my physical copy. So it's just giving consumers more options. Nobody wants to buy it twice. And yeah, this is just a great idea by Brandon. I'm sure he's not the only person who's ever said it, but like still, you know, publication companies like pick up your ears here, because this is what you should be doing. So yeah, guys, that is really it for me. Just thought I'd give a quick video here on the updates from, like, spoilers on Tress of the Emerald Seas and some Kickstarter updates from Brandon. So as always, guys, if you like the channel, please like, comment, and subscribe. Maybe hit the bell notification if you want to get some updates from me when I come up with a new video. But anyways, guys, as always, cheers, and we'll see you next time.